McKellar. He's the CEO of ACCI, the Australian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Welcome. Thank you. I read your comments on this budget last night. They came out quite quickly, so thanks for that. You think that there's still a very big challenge, that perhaps this didn't go far enough to get Australia back on a sustainable fiscal path. Why? We've got a surplus for the first time in 15 years.
Well, hi Nadine, good to be with you. Look, we do have a challenge in front of us. I think if you look at what the government has done in the budget last night, they've tried to balance two things. On the one hand, they are trying to provide some targeted relief in terms of cost of living to those on lower incomes in particular, and to smaller businesses. And they're also then trying to provide some additional support to the most vulnerable people in the community. Against that, they are also trying to make real headway in terms of improving the budget bottom line. Now, they've done a bit of both, but what is clear is even though they have a surplus projected for this financial year, as you go forward, it swings back into deficit next year, and within 2 years, we're back to deficits of $35 billion plus over the next couple of years beyond that. So there's still a substantial structural deficit there. The challenge is in front of the government to still deal with that, to take the pressure off interest rates, in an environment where the Reserve Bank has been lifting interest rates month in and month out.
Okay, so essentially you're saying that this is a bit of a lazy surplus because we've got high tax collections, we've got very low unemployment, we've got commodity prices still with the wind at our tails. So what you're saying is that we can't rely on those factors to drive growth going forward. So what levers need to be pulled still now?
Well, I think it's a surplus that's really driven by a very large slice of good luck. I mean, clearly, higher commodity prices, feeding back into the various royalties and taxes that government is collecting on that front. That's one of the big factors driving it. We've had a very strong labour market, so income tax receipts are strong. Looking forward, we would say the emphasis has got to be on getting those big areas of expenditure growth under control. There are a number of those. The NDIS stands out. Obviously, there is pressure on defence expenditure, very difficult to rein that back in. That's something that has to be done strategically. But there are a number of areas of government expenditure which need to be reviewed, need to be got back under control. I think we're very cautious about the scope for further revenue increases. That's paid the way this year, but we can't have a situation where either personal income tax is being put up or company income tax is being put up, and there are not a huge number of other sources of revenue that are ready to hand. Okay,
but what specifically does do your members want? I mean, was there enough for manufacturers, which have been doing it really tough in terms of energy relief, in terms of incentives to invest, in terms of clean, green? I mean, specifically what was delivered, but what do you want more of that will help bolster your, those who are your members?
Well, I think if we pick one topic that you've mentioned there, and that's energy. So at the moment, energy cost increases are something that is absolutely crippling, parts of business, parts of industry. We've seen increases projected 20-30% further in that regard. So look, certainly some of that short-term cost relief at the smaller end of the scale is welcome, but the reality is we can't secure energy solutions simply through price caps and cost rebates alone. Energy policy has to be directed towards addressing the generation and the distribution. Of course, renewables and renewable capacity is a huge part of that, and the government is investing in that space, no doubt at all. But equally, areas like gas. That has to be part of the transition. So if we're going to have affordable energy solutions in the medium term, we have to have ongoing exploration and production in gas. The government needs to be encouraging that. Things like the safeguard mechanism as part of our efforts to achieve net zero emissions, that's got to be competitive. We've got to be very careful about increasing taxes like the petroleum resource rent tax that is increased in the budget. We can't go further on that. We've got to remain competitive.